Hi guys, it's Lady Bo Bannon coming to you again from my car here in the great state of Texas. It's been a while since I made a video. I'm sorry. I've just been busy with my lifestyle. I've been trying to apply to jobs, research jobs. I interviewed with somewhere last Friday for a bus driver position for a daycare. The guy told me that he was going to get with his manager and they'd do the background check and they'd get back to me, or rather his manager would get back to me if he had any questions. But it's been a couple days, so I figure I didn't get the job, but whatever. I'm still going to see what's out there for me. An update from today is that I applied to a community college here in Houston. I am interested in pursuing paralegal studies after my eventful divorce from the ex-husband, who I suspect to be pathologically narcissistic. Disclaimer, I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I am not qualified to diagnose anybody, but I know what I know and I saw what I saw, so I believe I can make the fair assessment that he might have some issues. In any case, today's topic is why you did not leave the narcissist in your life, or why you haven't. So I had a friend stop by last night and he asked me directly, hey, I just want to know what happened, because it seemed that one day y'all, referring to myself and the now ex-husband, he said, well, one day y'all were fine, or he was fine, and then the next day he just seemed to be acting all weird. And he went on to tell me that if he had known that my now ex-husband was being abusive, he would have come over and kicked his behind. And that was nice to know. But, what really got to me was his question of, well, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you leave? And that's a question that a lot of people in abusive situations get. As for me personally, I saw the mask fall off. I saw the cracks in his personality early on. But I ignored that and I wrote it off as him just being too drunk and emotional about something that he hadn't wanted to speak about. I kept writing it off and making justifications. I'm the kind of person that, when I get with someone, I want to see it through. I don't want things to fall apart. This person seemed to be the first person in my life that was taking me seriously, had taken me seriously, had been, supporting me emotionally, or so I thought. It was really just mirroring and future faking and, trying to keep me on the hook. But anyway, I didn't want to believe that this person that had come into my life was not my soulmate, not the one for me. I felt like, as a married couple, we should see things through and work through them. I felt that there was a way to work through them. Well, you all know that if you are currently with a narcissist, or you have been with someone who is pathologically narcissistic, there is no hope to be had. Now, there's people out there who say that those who are pathologically narcissistic fall on the spectrum. Not everyone is to the extreme, and even so, there may be some opportunity for those who are completely resistant to seek the help that they need. In my opinion, it's a personality disorder that can't be fixed. You can certainly try to manage your own emotions and responses and learn how to communicate, or rather not communicate, with these types of people. Sometimes it's unavoidable because you either work in close proximity with them, this person is your boss, you rarely see this person when you're out, or maybe you have kids with this person and contact must be maintained. So, there are ways to manage your experience, but you're not able to manage these types of people. You really can't control people in general. That's a hard lesson that I've had to learn because in my life, I've wanted to reach out and help and offer solutions, and there's just some things that you can't help people with. There's nothing wrong in, seeing what you are able to do for a person, but that person has to be receptive to help, and they should also be deserving. I had a ex-friend who was really needy. She saw that I had a car, so she would ask me for rides to the grocery store, rides to do an errand or something, and at first I was more than happy to help. This person was talking to me, she was hanging out with me outside of these little trips, but she started to rely on me more and more, and then she started to just assume that I would drop everything that I was doing and come to her rescue and help her out. And when I would tell her, hey, I don't know if I can do this, and I didn't give her like a hard no, she would start to throw a pity party and say how no one was helping her and how she guessed she would, make do. It got really annoying real fast, and I just cut off communication with her completely. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So my friend had asked me, why didn't, you leave this person? And, like I was saying, I made a lot of justifications, and I held on to the fantasy of being in love with this person I thought I knew. Unfortunately, the fantasy faded, it dissipated, and I had to face the facts of what I was dealing with. Another thing was that by the time I was discarded and approached for a divorce, I had been out of the workforce for several years. I had 2 children who at the time were 2 or under 5, or 5 and under, whatever, and it was difficult to face reality of being left to fend for myself. A lot of the accounts were in my name, and I had no real way to pay for them, but for the grace of family and the person who I am dating now. So a lot was coming at me all at once, and I didn't know that. Well, God, it's hard to put into words, because if I was on the outside looking in, I would tell myself, oh woman, you shouldn't put up with that. Why are you putting up with that? You need to make a plan and really look at things on their face. And I thought about how I would make my exit, but it just seemed impossible. Plus, I was still enmeshed with the ex-husband, and I still had feelings, and I still had a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but I still had some hope. However, when the mask fully dropped and I saw that my life was literally in danger, I decided right then and there that I would accept this divorce, and I wouldn't continue. Sorry, I thought I saw something out the corner of my eye. But no, I decided that I wouldn't continue to fight. I had already sacrificed a lot of my dignity and a lot of my self-esteem. My actions were all to please the ex-husband and the new supply. So it's a long story, but I'll just state, rather quickly, in that, I was in a open marriage with this ex-husband after year 2. I'll go into a little more detail in later videos, but make a really, really long story short, he had started to date this woman who we brought into our home upon finding out that water was rising where she was. My now ex-husband went to go get her, and she came over to stay, and she basically ended up staying for quite a long time until she moved out with my now ex-husband. They both decided to move on without me. She was introduced to me as someone who was interested in me and that thought I was attractive, and I thought, oh, maybe we can make this trio thing work. But I had a lot of things to work through in regards to my self-esteem and jealousy. And then there's just a simple fact that I was being replaced without my knowing it. I did everything I could to show my now ex-husband that I was on board, that I was willing to work through things. I just wanted some open communication. I also wanted some mutual respect, because he was still being verbally abusive and drinking too much and making physical threats and getting more and more out of control. What I didn't realize at the time was that he was letting me loose, and he was prepping me for that discard. So yeah, anyway, I didn't know how to explain what was going on, the framework for one, but if you can move past that, it was just really hard to even admit to myself that I was being abused. I didn't realize that someone throwing something was physical abuse. I thought, well, hey, maybe my mouth, is bringing this on. Maybe I need to check, how I talk to him and stuff, because I get annoyed and frustrated, as you all are familiar with, because narcissists who are pathological and malignant can be quite frustrating and make your life a living hell if you even think about stepping out of line or not sharing their perception of things. So anyway, it's just really hard to describe to people what you're going through, because if they haven't lived it, they can listen and they can get a basic, or have a basic understanding of what you're talking about. But to actually live it and experience it is an entirely different thing. And once someone does, then I think it's easier for them to would be easy for them to understand why you didn't immediately leave. So to wrap things up, I had kids. I was in a very bad financial position because I didn't have a job, and I was reliant on my ex-husband. I'm ashamed to say that, because prior to meeting him, I was working. I had my own apartment. I was paying for my car and everything. And here I was relying on some mail. But anyway, so guys and ladies, don't be ashamed for staying longer than he did. It's a really, really hard situation to get out of, even if you do have money or don't have kids. People don't understand the enmeshment and the brainwashing and the cognitive dissonance that makes things really hard to accept and to move on from. So with that, I'm going to end this video and go inside Words Orm. Take care, and if you would, like this video. If you like what I had to say, I'm sorry about all the tangents here, but hey, it makes for some content, right? Something for you to think on. If you want to keep up with me, please subscribe and hit that bell next to the button so you can be notified of any new videos. Down in the comments, share what was your experience of leaving the narcissist. How long did you stay? Kudos to you guys who got out within like a week or two, a couple days after you saw that they weren't a person that you need to be around. I'm sorry to all the people who, like myself, spent years or wasted years with this person, and my heart goes out to those who end up spending like over a decade, or not 2 decades, with these types of people. So ciao. Again, leave your life experiences in the comments if you wish to share, and I will speak with you later.